So, who of you ever had to give a presentation? Who of you finished the slides just the day before?
Just today, just a minute before.
And who of you wished they had a bit more practice before they went on stage? Yeah, it's kind of the same all around, no? So my name is Tobias. I'm the co-founder and CTO of vCoach. We're an edtech company, but there's also another logo because we were acquired a few weeks ago by Lepaya, a Dutch edtech company as well. And my talk today is called Ape, Baby Tiger, How Does AI Shape the Future of Learning? After my talk, you're going to get some insights on the video analysis that we did and the 3 most important takeaways on how to give good presentations. We're going to learn a little bit about our architecture and technology. And it's a conference, so there will be some inspiring part in the end, for sure. Yes, so this is our acquisition. As an entrepreneur and founder, obviously this is a very important milestone, so we're all very excited. And because we're acquired by a Series B scale-up that is much bigger than ours, they have a team that makes nice videos like this one.
At Lepaya, we love tech. It helps us learn, grow, and make an impact. And that's why we acquired vCoach, a company that developed an innovative new technology. This powerful AI coach provides objective feedback on presentation skills. It looks at more than 10 factors, including posture, eye contact, and filler words. And it helps users quickly improve their presenting skills while making it easy to track progress. Combined with the easy-to-access Lepaya app and our VR training modules, it affirms our role as a leader in the edtech space. Curious? Go to lepaya.com to learn more.
Beautiful. I think we need to exit the video first. I'm in front of the screen. Lepaya is a training company that upskills organizations. They are based in the Netherlands. They're a Series B scale-up with offices all around Europe. And they basically sell upskilling solutions. The way this looks like is that there's an onboarding with a track recommender, and you really learn we call them power skills that you need to succeed. In this case, there's a track recommender, there's a one-on-one with the manager, and then there's a 12-month program with different skills and different modules that you need. This is all supported by the Lepaya app, and it's also included in Microsoft Teams or Slack. The way the modules work is that there's learn, practice, and apply. The learning and the applying part is helped with a blended learning approach in the app. This is where our AI coach comes in. Then there's a practice session, usually as a classroom, with coaches and with actors that actually help you train specific scenarios. I did a feedback course with an actor that was very, very scary. And too bad. All right. So we have 3 parts today. One is the small picture. What can AI do now? We did data analysis on all the videos that people upload to our platform and took the 3 most important KPIs for good presentation. Then we're going to talk about how we do it internally, so a bit of a technical overview, and then the big picture, AI and the future of learning. Part 1. I've been giving presentations for about 10 years now, and the worst thing that can happen is if you screw up the first 5 seconds on stage, like this poor elephant here. And today we're going to learn about apes, babies, and tigers, the 3 ingredients for a perfect presentation. And I'm going to explain this with my friend Henning. Henning has a problem. Henning is a physicist. Just kidding. Physicists don't actually wear lab coats. The problem is, of course, a girl. He met a girl. He likes her very much. They had a first date, she was talking a little bit, he was talking a little bit. It went okay. And now he's really confused because he has this friend, Gunther, and Gunther's really good. He's with women, he's also a physicist. He talks about it all the time, but they're really into it. And this, even though Gunther is at least 3 centimeters smaller, can do way less push-ups, and is lactose intolerant. So how does he do it? You see, Gunther is a great communicator. Gunther knows that it's not just about what you say, but also about how you say it. Evolutionary, we're social animals, and we cannot do anything than infer from what we see. But not only in dating, also in business, it's been shown that if you communicate with confidence, you're more successful. Do these guys play? Also not. Those guys work. So this is from our app where we have before and after videos and the results of our machine learning analysis. So we analyzed patterns from a couple thousand videos, and I'll bring you the main patterns. So what are the 3 most important things? Top 3. Pauses. So if Henning speaks all the time, especially without physics, if he doesn't do any breaks, any pauses, he speaks and speaks and speaks and speaks. It's really difficult to understand. It's not so fun to understand. You don't really follow anything, and it seems kind of nervous. Why is that? Well, the speed of speech is something that humans use to interpret the state of excitement. If I'm nervous, for example, I see a tiger, I feel stressed. It activates my sympathetic nervous system. It starts to increase blood pressure. I breathe more heavily. Maybe you start seeing my veins, and that also means I speak faster. So when you see someone speaking really fast, we interpret this as a state of excitement, of nervousness. And this is the analysis that we play back for people that upload videos.
And welcome to my presentation about Yin Yoga today. What is Yin Yoga?
I'm not going to watch the whole video. So this is a zoom into the audio, and we see the syllables that we detect, we see the pauses, and there's lots of different pauses. There's very small pauses up to 500 milliseconds or so, and they just naturally occur between syllables, between words that are put together. Then there's short pauses in speaking and breathing. They're between 500 and 2,000 milliseconds, and they help to reduce speed, increase intelligibility, and give you time to process what I'm saying. And then there's longer pauses up to 4 seconds, and they're more for like punchlines, creating tension. So if those are really important. For most people should do more pauses. And especially if you're on stage, a pause can feel very awkward, but usually this is only from the speaker side. So if Henning does a few pauses here and there, he will seem much more confident. So remember the tiger. Top 2, gestures. When we look at Benjamin here, he looks very sad, and there's no gestures. And I think the video is not playing here either. But we see that he has his arms hanging, and it doesn't seem very confident. Why are gestures so important? Well, with gestures, the following principle applies. We cannot not communicate. The perception is always influenced by what we see. And we're just evolutionarily built this way. And we know from phylogenetic research that gestures evolved before language. And we know this from orangutans. There were scientists with a very funny job. They watched orangutans in zoos for 9 months. And they found that they used over 40 gestures, unique monkey gestures, to communicate. By the way, it was not so easy to find GIFs of angry monkeys on the internet. So we analyzed the key points on humans, and then we turned them into observables, where we look at where are your hands, how often are they switching in between areas. And what we found in data is that you appear very confident when you have your hands about 80% of the time in the outside areas and 20% of time in the inside areas. So if you're too much on the inside area and you're merkling too much, it's kind of boring. But if you're gesturing all the time, you kind of seem, I guess, too excited or just too much. So roughly 80% in the outside area makes it really good. And when we see the video of Benjamin after the training with 80% of hands on the outside, it seems much more confident. He's also smiling, of course. It's kind of like those telephone, where you did those TV shopping things, where, you know, now he's smiling. So remember the ape. Top 1, eye contact. This is my favorite, because in this video also, it's the same video. Benjamin is kind of avoiding eye contact. He's not looking into the audience or the camera, and it just doesn't seem very confident. Eye contact is really important, but why? You see, babies learn a lot of things, but one of the most important things they learn very early on is to follow their parents' gaze. And this comes from a theory of mind. When my parents look at something, then I, as a baby, know this must be important to me, and so I follow the gaze. This is something that happens really, really early on. And the gaze aversion, so the avoidance of eye contact, is a central characteristic of shame, insecurity, insincerity. So, can watch this again, right? So avoiding eye contact makes you look suspicious. So we use gaze estimation models to monitor eye contact in videos and then see where people are looking. And in online presentations, this is a little bit different, but in real presentations, what you want is also around 80% eye contact, because if you do too little, you seem indifferent or insecure, but if you have too much, this seems a little pushy. In video conferences, this is a bit different, where you want to look into the camera most of the time. Okay, remember, eye contact, open gestures, and pauses. Babies, tigers, and monkeys. I hope this helps you next time. But as I said, this is not only helpful in dating, this also helps in business. If you're more confident, get more promotions. We don't want no promotions, right? We want more promotions. So be more convincing. Remember, this is all relevant for the exams. The slides will not be uploaded. I think they will be uploaded. So how do we do this? Part 2, bit of technical insight. I hope you learned a bit from our data. How do we make data? In those modules, especially the presenting modules, there's some best practices, a little bit of theory, and then there's the AI coach, where you upload a video and you get an analysis back, and then you prepare for the classroom session with a real coach, a human coach, that helps you tweak the last couple of KPIs. Here's a video of all our KPIs. So we upload a video and then we do this.
I'm happy to announce that the
There's gestures, there's eye contact, there's facial expression, we look at posture, people moving their knees, we look at movement, we look at pitch, we look at volume, we look at pauses, we look at speed of voice, and we look at filler words. And this is the analysis that you get back. And then we take the worst 3 KPIs and give you exercises, because if I just tell you you're bad at gestures, that's not very helpful. We need actionable insights. So you get little exercises that help you to improve. Okay, if I... so the video is uploaded, we separate it into audio and images, then there's our AI brain, we produce visualizations, and then we produce expert exercises for you to improve with a little PDF, because people really like to have PDFs to look at stuff. How do we do it? First, we have the audio input. This little X has a little line because it's a tensor. It's a tensor. We do raw extraction of features. This is the first, sometimes machine learning function into raw features. This is abstract vectors, raw coordinates. Then we do feature engineering into what I call observables, because I used to be a physicist. This is something that a human would also be able to observe. For example, words per minute, amount of time the hands are in the outside area, on the inside area, things like that. And then we apply domain knowledge to map what we see in observables to to feedback between 1 and 5 stars, because people like to have stars. A bit more abstract, this is an input matrix. We have a raw extraction function E that maps this onto a raw feature Y. We apply a feature engineering function F to a Z. And then we have the first machine learning problem where we're trying to extract words per minute from an audio file, where we have 2 functions in between. And we use this with annotated data sets. And then we have the second machine learning problem where we try to map these observables. So what are the features that humans see in presentations to KPI feedback? So how good was my speed? How good were my gestures perceived? Very explicitly, we have the input video. It's a matrix. I mean, it's a lot of matrices. And then we apply key point detection model that has just the raw coordinates of the key points. Then we map these to observables. This is raw numbers that you could put into a model. So this is the amount of images where the right hand was in the right square. This is the amount of times the hand was in the center square. This is the amount of times the right hand changed squares, things like that. It's a bit more smooth, more floaty, not inty in what we do now. And then we have a mapping function. For example, if the left hand is in the center more than 30% of the time, and the right hand is in the center more than 30% of the time, you get 3 stars. If the left hand is in the center, no. We use trees for this, as you can imagine, because we could also do this in one go, but the problem is that then it's not actionable. If I just tell you gestures are bad, it's not very helpful. If we map this to observables, we help you to actually improve. Another example is speed. We take the input audio as a tensor, we map it into an abstract embedding space, and then we do syllable detection to detect the amount of syllables over time. We count them, and then we give you a rating. So we want you to have a certain amount of syllables per minute. We started with words per minute, but it turns out that words per minute is not a good measure for perceived speed, especially in German, where you have very, very long words. And also, we have some languages where people speak faster, for example, in Spanish. So words per minute is actually not so great. It turns out, though, that the amount of information transferred per second is very stable across languages. So even though Spanish has more words, the single words have less information. So information density, I don't know if you heard about Shannon, is very constant. So when you look at syllables, we have a much more robust model that is actually working across different languages. And then we have to solve the mapping again. For speed, this is a bit easier. We give you up to 4 stars if you have a nice speed. Most people have a good speed. Most people need to increase the speed a little bit. And you get 5 stars if you use it as a stylistic element. This is our development process. We have people upload videos through our app. Internally, we're also planning to open source this tool. The idea is you have a presentation tomorrow, you need feedback now, and then you can upload a presentation video to our app. You get feedback, exercises, and then tomorrow you rock. Then we have the analyze part. This is the machine learning API. We call it MABLE. It stands for machine-based e-learning. It's also a cartoon character that I like. What was first? Difficult to say. From this data, we build data sets. We're on Amazon, so they're stored on S3. We use Label Studio for annotation. We have data sets for most KPIs individually, and then also for the rating, because we have for each KPI, we have 2 different machine learning problems to solve. We have a lot of different models running live at the same time. And then we use these data sets to develop and improve our models. There's usually some QA checks, some of them also in Label Studio. And if they go through, we update MABLE and everything becomes better. And because we create more and more videos over time, MABLE gets better over time. People really like to see tech stacks. I like to see tech stacks, so I brought you a tech stack. Maybe you like it too. We're running at of the order of tens to hundreds of requests per day. So it's not crazy complicated. And we opted for nothing like no cluster system like Kubernetes. There's a learner API that sends a request, and then the way we build it is everything is in Python. It's wrapped in Fast API. It's wrapped in Docker, which is then stored on ECR, which is then deployed on Amazon SageMaker Inference. They're very good. And then we have a Lambda in front of it because it's easier to change the background and the API a little bit and make what would be a breaking change in a regular API. That's why we opted for a Lambda function in front. We use Git, of course, and then we use CDK because we're on AWS and we're never going to be able to leave. But we're currently moving to Terraform, and this will also replace the code pipeline, probably. Actually, you want to ask questions now? No, we're going to do questions later, right? Okay, that's our tech stack. Where are we going? So we're in the edtech space. What is the future of learning? Have you ever done a compliance training? They kind of look like this. Will this be in VR? Maybe. So I think this and this, the compliance trainings and the in-person trainings, they will stay. But there are 4 main trends that our research scientist, Dr. Clemens Lechner, has identified in his white paper that are about to come. The future of learning will definitely be active. Not just pure consumption of YouTube videos and content, but active learning, hands-on learning. The feedback will be individual. So you need individual feedback on your performance. The learning journey will be personalized, so that if you're a beginner, you get beginner exercises and beginner courses, but if you're better, for example, in presenting, if you're already good, you get different exercises and you're judged a bit more harshly. And the future will be integrated flexibly, which means that you can do it wherever you want it, whenever you need it. In our case, in an app. AI. But how? Well, this is a data science conference, so maybe this question is not as confusing. I think when I think about AI, I first like to think about I, so just regular intelligence, and much like human intelligence, that is not just one thing, but actually composed of, logic intelligence, emotional intelligence, and creativity. We have the same thing with AI. We have all these narrow AIs that kind of have to work together in a complex system to create value. Today, we already use this for recruiting, we use this for chatbots, and for soft skill training, for example, with vCoach or Lapaya. But there's so much more. And this is really, really cool, because especially in soft skill training, the only way you get better, really the only way, is to practice a lot and to get feedback. The feedback has to be individual, and ideally this is in an AI-safe space where you can do this at home without an audience or your colleagues or your boss watching. And even better, this is scalable. So we're hoping to roll this out all around the world in the next couple of years. Right now, there's already an individual coach that can help you anytime and anywhere. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're rolling this out to almost all modules that are possible. This means how to give feedback, how to negotiate, difficult conversations, convincing others. And we're slowly moving into content analysis as well. This can be included into your Zoom meetings, into Teams, and it will be available all around the world. But worry not, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, although I'd like to add, except if you know math. If you don't believe me, I brought you some numbers. Thank you for your attention.